Spider-Man. You know him. You most likely love him. And you know Spidey from the movies, or TV shows, or video games. And, maybe you've thought about reading the comics only to realize there are thousands of issues, multiple universes, more clones than a sci-fi horror movie. Don't worry. I'm going to sum it all up, seeing as I am the biggest Spider-Man fan in Sci-Hi. If you know me, I'm pretty sure you know that. Now, let's be honest. We all know how the story goes. Amazing Fantasy 15 in 1962. Peter Parker gets bit by a radioactive spider. Uncle Ben gets bit by a bullet, leading to the famous moral lesson. But, fun fact, Uncle Ben never said, "With great power comes great responsibility." That line came from a dramatic little yellow text box at the end of the issue. So, technically, Peter learned his greatest life lesson from himself. After his debut, Peter got his own comic series, The Amazing Spider-Man, in 1963, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Steve Ditko, the absolute GOAT. This comic introduced everything we associate with Spider-Man today. His relatable struggles, his incredible villain gallery, and of course, his terrible, god-awful, terrible luck. Peter Parker's Parker luck. He mentions it a lot, too much sometimes. While other superheroes are busy being billionaires, gods, aliens, and, other crazy junk, Peter is just a broke teenager, trying to balance school, work, fighting guys with way too much time on their hands, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of relatable. Enemies like Dr. Octopus, and Green Goblin, and the Vulture, and honestly, even J. Jonah Jameson, who might not have powers, but he's pretty close. Peter also had an on-again, off-again relationship with Gwen Stacy, originally in the beginning, and then later that turned into an on-again, off-again relationship with Mary Jane Watson, the ultimate girl next door. Gwen Stacy also, unfortunately, learned that being close to Peter Parker is a great way to end up in the obituary section. The 70s and 80s were rough for Peter. Gwen Stacy was thrown off by a bridge by the Green Goblin, and despite his best efforts, he could not save her, proving once again that gravity is in fact Spider-Man's worst enemy. Then came the Clone Saga. Now, I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. It's pretty confusing, and it gets really muddled. I tried reading the full compendium of the Clone Saga, and honestly, that took my head for a spin. Introducing Ben Reilly and Kane, and those two are a little bit confusing, mainly Kane. I don't really know what's going on with him. Which was so confusing that even the Marvel writers didn't know how to end it. It spanned across 4 different comic runs instead of 1 for some reason, and not to mention half of them had nothing to do with the main story, so you didn't even need to read them anyways. Anyway, the 4 main comic runs that cover the Clone Saga were Web of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and The Sensational Spider-Man, as well as The Spectacular Spider-Man. If you couldn't tell, the Marvel writers... Oh, I'm gonna die. If you couldn't tell, the Marvel writers love adjectives. The 80s did give us one of Spider-Man's greatest villains, though. Venom. The black suit, which we know as Venom now today, was introduced in the Secret Wars comic run, issue 8. At first, the black suit just seemed like a cool new look for Spidey, and it lasted for a good long while, spanning from 1984 to 1988, with 4 years, where he would almost exclusively wear it. But then, it turned out to be alive, and extremely clingy, and fed on his negative emotions, like a very, very needy ex. But in Todd McFarlane's comic run, he just wouldn't move on, and Venom eventually was ditched by Peter. But then, the suit bonded with Eddie Brock, a guy who already hated Spider-Man, and together they became Venom, a muscle-bound nightmare with way too many teeth and, honestly, always salivating green goo in that comic run. The 2000s brought reinventions, including Ultimate Spider-Man, my personal favorite comic run. A comic run that was based on the new and hip and really bad Ultimates run for the Avengers. Seriously, if you're going to read Ultimate Spider-Man, just don't even bother with the Ultimates. It's genuinely so terrible. Alright, but this comic run retold Peter's story in a new light, making him a lot more relatable. He was really just a teenager. And also, it eventually introduced Miles Morales, the fan favorite we all know today, the second Spider-Man. Meanwhile, the main comics kept finding ways to make Peter's life miserable. In Civil War, he unmasked himself on live TV, which was a terrible idea. And in One More Day, the worst Spider-Man comic ever, he made a deal with the devil to erase his marriage and all memories of him being Spider-Man from everybody. And in Superior Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus actually took over Peter's body and decided he could be a better Spider-Man. Surprisingly, not that bad. For a while, he kind of was. The 2010s and beyond continued Spider-Man's tradition of amazing stories, major status quo changes, and of course the writers making Peter Parker's life as difficult as humanly possible. One of the biggest changes came in Spider-Verse, where Peter discovered that countless other Spider-People existed across the multiverse, including fan favorites like Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Miles Morales, all those people from the movie. But there were a lot more, too, considering there was people like Spider-UK, the Armored Spider-Man, there was a Spider-Man with a cape, it was a whole thing. Anyway, this story was so popular that it inspired the Into the Spider-Verse movie a while later, proving that the only thing better than one Spider-Man is all of the Spider-Men. And, well, people, I guess. There's Spider-Women in there, too. I'm not sexist, I promise. Meanwhile, in the main Marvel Universe, Peter finally got his life together for, 5 minutes. He became a billionaire tech CEO of Parker Industries, which went about as well as you'd expect. He had had a good job, time to be Spider-Man. Things were going pretty good for him. And he lost it all, because of course he did. And then he went back to his usual broke but heroic status. More recently, Spider-Man has been dealing with even more chaos, including yet another identity crisis, a messy breakup with Mary Jane, a new storyline with Norman Osborn, and Paul. I don't want to get into it. It's bad. Just literally look up anybody's opinion on Paul ever. He's like the worst self-insert a writer has ever made. I hate him with every fiber of my being. The Green Goblin himself, Norman Osborn, decided to help Peter out by giving him a new high-tech suit, because taking fashion advice from your greatest enemy is definitely a really solid plan. In addition to the main comic run, there's a new Ultimate Spider-Man run, and just like its predecessor, it is absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's Peter as a grown man with a wife and kids, and things are going pretty well for him. And this is in the same universe where the maker, spoiler alert for the original Ultimate Spider-Man, erased the universe of superheroes and created a new one without any. But, Iron Lad in this one, decides to give everybody their powers back to stop the maker. And that means Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man way later in life. And it's really good. Anyway, enough yapping about that. Meanwhile, Miles Morales has continued to rise in popularity, proving that the world has room for one more Spider-Man always. Through it all, Spider-Man remains one of the most beloved and enduring characters ever. He's relatable, he's funny, he's constantly suffering for the writer's entertainment for some reason. If you ever decide to dive into the comics, just be prepared for great stories, great responsibility, and a never-ending cycle of Peter Parker making really, really bad life choices. And if you look at the script for this video, I've led some links, and I'll put up some websites right now for places where you can read the comics. I recommend batcave.biz. You can read all the comics for free. It's a really user-friendly interface. I love it. You should read them. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. If you want to see more of my comic yapping, and I promise it's not just Spider-Man stuff, I cover other topics too, and it honestly started as a project for Sci-Hi as well, but I have a YouTube channel, and here's the name right here, right? If you want to go follow that, I just do more yapping. I might post this video, but thank you so much for enjoying my TED Talk. It wasn't a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it was a lot of work. I got to yap about Spider-Man for like a few months, so pretty easy for me. But yeah, go ahead and look at my other stuff if you want to, and if not, thanks for watching.